welcome back to Moody Talk Sports. I'm doing this very early in the morning. That's why everything is so dark, so I apologize in advance, but there's no light in here, and I haven't got sufficient lighting set up yet. So yesterday I had a pretty decent day. Ended up 50%, half and half, not bad. Let's go ahead and go through some of those for college football. There was some really good games yesterday. I really did enjoy it. I didn't get to see all of them, but I mean, there was some really good matchups, I thought. Some that were blowouts that I really didn't anticipate. So the first thing I had was Texas Tech plus 3.5. This was a blowout. In the end, I think Texas Tech had like a 24-point quarter in the fourth. It was actually a pretty decent game up until that point, very turnover heavy. It seemed like in the first half, neither team wanted to win, but with the 3.5 points, I thought both teams were pretty equal, but Texas Tech pulled away in the end, and so that was kind of an easy one. Good to see there. Tennessee did not cover. I laid the 39.5 points. They did win hands down without even scoring in the fourth quarter. I imagine they probably put, most of the backups in. It's one of those things where I hate having to lay that many points, but I just thought Tennessee was going to come out with a little bit more. It's hard to say because it was a blowout, so I get that. But I thought they were just going to come out and really, make a stand. And I thought the team they were playing, UAB, I didn't think they were really going to score at all. They ended up scoring way more than I thought. So unfortunately, I lost that one. Oregon State at Oregon, I laid the 34.5. I ended up losing that by half a point. Yeah, so I think Oregon won by 34. So it's one of those things where what I thought was real, but half a point, man, that's so rough. It was still a great game for Oregon. I think they're a great team. I think they're going to go really far this year. They continue to look really good, just not as good as I'd hoped in that game. Then we go to Michigan at Nebraska. I took Michigan minus the 2.5. I'm glad I won it by half a point there. That's where the half point actually helped me. Michigan, I thought this was a must-win game for them, and they went into Nebraska. They played really tough. It was a great game. That's two good teams. I think Nebraska is kind of sneaky good too. One of those mid-tier teams. I don't think they're elite, but they're going to cause some upsets. I think they're going to really ruffle some feathers this year. So that was a great game. Glad to come away with the win there. Kent State plus 44.5 with Florida State. Florida State blew them out. Florida State just looks really good. And, I always have a problem laying over 41 points. I just do. It's so hard for me to lay 44, 45, 46 points, because I'm one of those guys where I will take the points, and if I lose, I'm fine with it. There's no regrets. Same thing there. I expected Florida State to run the ball and kind of slow the game down. They have a great running game. Well, that was true, but they ran as a team for 498 yards. I mean, my Lord, goodness gracious. Holy cow, what a rushing attack. I thought they were going to run for 200 to 300, absolutely. I did not realize 500, so that's why they won by so much. It's just ridiculous. Ole Miss minus 12.5. Tulane came into Ole Miss. I took Ole Miss and laid the points, and it was a blowout. Ole Miss scored 22 in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss is a tough team. They're going to be a really tough look on a lot of schedules this year. That was easy. You know what I mean? That one was easy. I actually really liked the line a lot. I thought Ole Miss was going to win by 14 to 17. They actually won by a lot more than that, so good to see. Auburn plus 6.5. This is one I was really nervous about, and I really wanted the 7. I wanted the 7 or 7.5. Then it would have been a lock. But that's why Vegas is Vegas, and that's why these guys know what they're doing. I took the 6.5. I thought it was going to be a good game. I thought it was going to be low scoring. I thought it was going to be close. I was right on all that, but Oklahoma pulled away, won by a touchdown, another half point. Brutal. Oh, just when I saw that score, I knew that too. When I made that pick, I thought it's going to be 7. It's going to be 7, and I was right. I should have went with my gut. Those are still two good teams, though. I think Oklahoma and Auburn are both still above average teams. I don't think they're middle tier. I think they're in between elite and middle. But it was a good game, and so I enjoyed it. Purdue plus 25.5. Another half point. Purdue lost by 26. Notre Dame looked good. I thought Notre Dame was going to look good. I thought Notre Dame was going to beat them. I thought it was going to be a borderline blowout, but I just really, with 25.5 points, I thought Purdue was too good. And I was kind of right. I mean, it was so close, half a point. I mean, what do you do there? Half a point. What do you do? Temple went into Georgia Tech. I had Georgia Tech minus 22 and a half. It was a 21-point game. Again, really close. I was really nervous. Tech is still a really good team, I think, and I know a lot of people underestimate them. I know they're going to be a tough match on a lot of schedules this year. It's just so close. I'm right there. I'm not losing by a ton. It just seems like I'm losing by a point or two or even half a point. South Carolina, I'm done with this bet. I told you guys yesterday, I make this bet every year. Missouri had looked the best. I had seen them in a long time, and the Gamecocks looked okay. But every time the Gamecocks play Mizzou, they just play them really well. And Mizzou did win by 9. Another half point. That's 3 half points now. 4 total. 1 in my favor, 3 against me. That's crazy. Whoever was doing the sports booking for this, great job. You guys get to keep your job. You're one of the best in the industry. Holy cow. I mean, that's so disappointing. A 9-point game. How often do games end in a 9-point game? Only when I bet them. That's correct. If that's what you said, was only when you bet them, Nick, you are correct. All right, so yeah, 4 losses in a row there. But here's the good news. We got some wins at the end. Miami minus 8.5. I told you guys this was my favorite bet of the week. This was a no-brainer, and I'm a Gator fan, so I was like, this is a no-brainer. Miami ends up, squeaking away. I think that Florida's defense is pretty solid. They held Miami for most of the game, but Florida's offense is just, I don't even know what to call it. It sputters. I mean, they can't score anything. They haven't scored more than, I think it's 17 points. They haven't scored 17 points or more since week 1. They didn't against USF. They didn't against LSU. Now they haven't against Miami. I know there's some good teams in there. I know USF's better than a lot of people think. But until I see more from their offense, I'm just not going to be taking them in a lot of games. I just can't. I can't do it. It is what it is. So won that one. Carson Beck continues to improve also. That was the other thing. I love to see that. I love to see Carson playing well. I think Miami has a chance at the Natty this year. Illinois plus 6.5. Now this is my biggest loss of the week. These were 2 teams. Illinois went into Indiana. I like Indiana a lot. I love rooting for them. But on paper, both these teams looked really good. They looked like they matched up pretty decently well. They looked like, no one knew exactly how good either was, and I didn't know that either. Illinois basically pumpkin alert. Get back to the mid to low tier, and when it comes to Indiana, welcome to the high tier, because Indiana right now is legit, and that was a blowout in a game that I thought was going to be close. I thought it was going to be really down to the wire and close. It wasn't. It was a complete blowout. That's my biggest loss of the week. Now, from here on out, though, it's all green, baby. That's what I love to see. Georgia State went into Vanderbilt. I took Vanderbilt and laid the 27.5. It was almost a 50-point blowout. Consistently excellent play from Vandy. It's a great win. I said yesterday that Vandy was a way better team than a lot of people think. They always give really tough teams a hard time, and this was a team they should have walked all over, and they did. So sometimes when it comes to the layups, you got to take the layups, and then when it comes to the tough ones, you got to play the tough ones. Vandy's always been pretty good at that, so easy. Yesterday excuse me. Yesterday I said that Texas needed to cover the 39.5, otherwise I was going to be out on Arch Manning. This was a tomato can. This was a team that just is not only bottom tier, but they're the bottom of the bottom tier. And if Texas couldn't be at home and blow this team out, there was going to be a problem. And Texas went in, took care of business. Arch looked really good. Good improvements. From here on out, Texas's schedule is ridiculously tough. So I'm glad that happened. Arch, the time is now, my friend. It is now. Next up, we have Michigan State plus 18.5. Now, I had said I thought this was going to be a really good game. I thought it was going to be low scoring. Michigan State, I thought was going to keep the score low and kind of try to control the game on the ground. It actually really didn't go that way. It was more of a high scoring game, but Michigan State put up a lot of points and actually kept it relatively close and covered the 18.5. I love to see that. USC actually looked good, so there's really not a lot of negativity there. When I made that bet, it wasn't necessarily betting on USC to fail. I just thought that Michigan State was a little better than they were getting credit for. They were just going to keep it close and low scoring. Not the case. High scoring, a lot of offense, but Michigan State, I think, put up, like 31, I believe. Something like that. I'd have to look at the score again, but it was good. It was a really good game, and they covered. Now, this one I didn't mention. It wasn't on my slate, but I did have it, I promise, and I'll tell you why. Southeast Louisiana plus 48.5. Like I've just mentioned before, and I mentioned it the other day, I can't not take a 41 or above in points. I just have to. And like I've said, if I lose those bets, I'm fine with it. But when it came to 48.5, of course I had to take that. And it ended up being pretty close. Louisiana or LSU almost covered. They almost covered that 48.5. But with that many points, I took Southeast Louisiana, and they ended up covering that, which, 48.5, that seems pretty normal. So 50%, 8 out of 16. Total for the year so far, 8 out of 17. Not bad. Not bad at all. I will take the 50% yesterday. Could have been better. There was a couple. Again, 3 games decided by half a point. I was right there. I consider that a good day, especially a bounce back from the Thursday night football game. That was 0 for 3. That was not good, and 0 for 1 on the pick'em. But my big 3 bets, I was 0 for 3. That was rough. So now let's get into NFL. Okay, this is NFL for Sunday, week 3. A lot of quarterback injuries here, so I'm just going to kind of go through these. Let's go ahead and start with the Raiders going into Washington facing the Commanders. I'm going to take the Raiders plus 3. Jaden Daniels is out for the Commanders, and the Raiders, I think this is an opportunity where if you're the Raiders, you come in here and you're like, look, we have a tough schedule. We play in a tough division. These are the type of games we have to win. When the universe throws us a bone, when we get a lucky break and it's like, okay, we get to face Washington with Marcus Mariota, you got to take that. And since I'm getting 3 points on top of it, I'm going to take the Raiders. I think that's a good bet. I think the Raiders are going to be one of those teams that continue to get better every week and get a little bit, more fluid, better offense, hopefully run the ball with Janty a little bit more. We'll see. Falcons going into Carolina. I'm going to take Carolina plus 5.5. Division games like this are always really tough. I know Carolina's not any good, but considering they are at home, it's a divisional opponent. I could easily see this being a 3 or 4 point game, and so I'm going to take the points. Plain and simple. The Panthers, are one of those sneaky teams that when they have a good game, they have a good game, and they usually play really well against divisional opponents. So I'm going to take the 5.5. Packers, Browns, I hate this bet. I hate this bet with every fiber of my being. But the reality is that when it comes to the Browns being at home, 7.5 points, I'm going to take them. I know the Browns aren't any good, and I get that. And the Packers might be the best team in football. And even as I say that out loud, it churns my stomach just because this bet. But a home underdog and 7.5 points, a whole touchdown, more than a touchdown. I have to take the points. I do, and if I lose, I lose, I guess. But man, I can't. I think the Browns still, especially at the pound, play really well, and we'll see. I know Ravens just blew them out last week, but we'll see. Pittsburgh Steelers going into New England to face the Patriots. I'm going to take the Steelers minus 1.5, mainly because I do trust Tomlin. I think he's going to get this figured out. I know they've had a rocky start to the season, but that defense just has too many good people on it. Plus, the Patriots, I want to buy into them. I want to be on board. I'm just not yet. I've seen some flashes. I've seen some not so flashes. I want to see a little bit more. The Steelers have that history of always having a winning record, having Mike Tomlin, having that great defense. I'm going to go ahead and go with them for that reason, but this could be a really good game. This might be one of those sneaky good games that I actually might watch a good chunk of. So we will see about that. Los Angeles Rams going into Philadelphia Eagles. I never like betting on the Rams, but I'm going to here. It's 3.5 points. The Eagles are playing well. But let's be honest, they're only playing well because they're winning, which, yes, that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, so good for them. But as far as stats, as far as how they're doing it, they're just scraping by. So far, their first game was 4 points. Their second game was 3 points, I believe, a field goal. So with that being said, it's always around that number, and the Rams are good. They're really, really good. I think they match up well, and I'm going to take those 3.5 points. Even if Los Angeles ends up losing by a field goal, that's still going to come into favor for me, and I'll take it. Indianapolis Colts going into Tennessee. Surprising enough, I'm going to take the Titans at plus 4.5. I think Titans are one of those teams, again, you have a rookie quarterback. He's going to get better every week. They're at home. It's going to come down to the wire. It's a divisional game. These are always tough. You play these teams twice a year. You know what they do. And I am a huge believer in Daniel Jones and the Colts. I think they've looked fantastic, and I'm not one of those guys that's on pumpkin watch. I think they are going to be a good team, and I think at this point they probably make it into the playoffs. But 4.5 points, I think this is one where maybe the Colts are looking ahead. I don't know. The 4.5 really just seems like I should take it. New York Jets going into Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay minus 6.5. I'm going to lay the 6.5. The Jets, one, just haven't looked great. They're still trying to piece it together. New head coach, new quarterback, who, by the way, is out. Justin Fields is not playing, so it'll be the backup. With that being said, I'm not even sure at the moment. I have to look up who the backup is. Regardless of who it is, I know that Tampa Bay has been playing pretty well. I know they're down a couple offensive linemen, which will be really rough. It's hard to win without 2 or 3 offensive linemen that are key. But the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are really great at just dink and dunk offense and running the ball. I think a touchdown, I think they'll cover. Bengals and Vikings. Boy, can we flex this to 4 a.m.? 2 backup quarterbacks, Jake Browning, Carson Wentz for the Vikings. I'm going to take the Bengals plus 3. My thing with this is Jake Browning has been with the Bengals for a while. He's looked good in the past. He's had to come in this role many times before now when Burrow gets hurt. He's looked great. They win games. There was talk a couple of years ago about what do you do? He's winning games, a lot of them. I like that. Carson Wentz. What's the nickname? Wince, like Wince. I think this is one of those games where I can't really guess it because I don't know who's going to be the better backup. But right now, I feel a little bit more confident in Jake Browning and all those weapons he has on offense. So we will see. Next up, we have Houston going into Jacksonville. I'm going to take Jacksonville minus the 1.5. Houston just hasn't looked good to me. They just haven't. They haven't looked good in a long time. And until they do, I can't really in good faith or good justice give them any type of credit. I want them to be good. I like C.J. Stroud, but he is on his back a lot. That offensive line does not do him any favors. Jacksonville continues to be one of those roller coaster teams where you never know if Trevor Lawrence is going to look like the first overall pick or if he's going to look like, a 7th overall backup who's only in because the first 2 guys got hurt. I don't know at this point, but I do think that because Jacksonville's at home, I think that'll help them, and I think that 1.5 will be covered because of that. Saints going into Seattle. This one was tough. I'm going to take Seattle minus 7.5. The Saints just look so bad, and Spencer Rattler, and regardless of who plays quarterback for the Saints right now, going into Seattle's one of the toughest places in the world to play. It's so loud. It's booming. It's all, it's not half and half. It's always all Seattle fans. So loud. Can't hear anything. Rookie quarterback. Yeah, I just, honestly, for me, what it comes down to is I think Seattle has a chance to blow them out. And even though I'm not comfortable laying 7.5, I'm not betting on the Saints right now. I'm just not. Not in good conscience. All right. Excuse me. Denver Broncos going into the Chargers in LA. I'm going to take Chargers minus 3. The Chargers have looked good. They've looked solid. They've looked well coached. Until they don't, I'm just going to keep riding with them. I really am. I see no reason not to. I do like the Broncos. I think they're well coached. But right now they're kind of trying to get their head above water. They're kind of fighting. They're trying to keep their head up. Whereas the Chargers have just been floating on their back. Mai Tai in this hand, maybe a good book in the other, just floating on the water. So that's who I'm going to take, 100%. Arizona Cardinals going into the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to take the Cardinals plus 2.5. Cardinals have looked pretty decent. I know they've played 2 tomato cans. 49ers have a lot of injuries. We still don't know at this moment if Brock Purdy's going to play or not. It could be backup. I don't know. Divisional games are always tough. I really wish the number was at 3, but if it was at 3, I'd be 2 thumbs up. But right now I'm like a 1 thumb kind of up. Yeah, 1 thumb kind of up. So I will take the upset. I'll take the Cardinals plus 2.5. We will see. This right here, I think, is one of the biggest bets of the week for me. Cowboys minus 1.5. over the Bears going into Chicago. The Cowboys have looked good. And I don't like saying that, because when it comes to the Cowboys, let's be honest, you either absolutely love them or you just loathe them and can't stand them. I'm in that second part. But I have to give the Cowboys credit. They've looked really good. Dak Prescott is everything right now that Ben Johnson wants Caleb Williams to be. He's efficient. He doesn't turn the ball over. He makes great decisions. He's a great leader. And it's showing. Dallas has put up some really good. Right now, their defense isn't that great, so I expect Caleb. This is kind of a big game for Caleb because if you don't score a lot here, if you don't eat on this defense, there's going to start to be some really big questions in the media about, okay, what are we doing here? This guy was supposed to be the answer. He was supposed to be the truth. He was supposed to be the changing. And if you can't go into one of the worst defenses at home and put up some points, I mean, they're with Ben Johnson, one of the arguably greatest offensive coordinators in the league right now, then there's going to be some murmur. There's going to be some chatter. So big game here, sneaky big game. Another one of those that normally is a little TV game, but probably deserves your time. Last but not least, Sunday night, we have Chiefs going into the New York Giants. I'm going to take New York Giants plus 5.5. New York looked really good last week. I think New York is like desperately looking for wins. Desperately. I mean, I think Daboll is coaching for his job. And when you're at home, the Chiefs are coming in. The Chiefs aren't playing very well. They're still a little bit banged up. I do think the Chiefs might end up winning by 3. But that 5.5 at home is just too many points for me. So I'm going to take it, and we'll see how that turns out. All right, that's my picks for that. Guys, appreciate you being here. Thank you. Sorry about the darkness. It's really dark. Oh my goodness, where am I? Undisclosed location. I will see you again soon. I'll see you tomorrow for my Monday Night Football picks as well to talk about what happens on Sunday. See you then.